Reality is, the more risk you take, the luckier you get. So people need to learn to take one big risk a day. Every day take a risk and build up that risk muscle, because risk is where success comes.
Risk must be taken for the greatest. Hazard in life is to risk nothing.
Take the biggest fucking risks of your entire life right now. Remember, you have time.
I think that most people, the reason that they lack success in their life is that they lack the courage to make the decisions that need to be made to put them in the position that they want to be in.
You can get so scared, and you can be so easily lulled into the idea that good is good enough, that feeling safe and comfortable is what you should always be looking for. That way of thinking, in your 20s in particular, dead fucking wrong. I want you to start to create this mindset of taking risks and going big.
All right. Welcome to R2R live stream episode number 147. Hope everybody had a happy Friday night. Welcome to the channel. It's Saturday morning. Don't forget, if you're on YouTube, it's important that you subscribe and you smash the like button. I need to get way more likes on YouTube. I ain't hitting the quota. I ain't hitting my goals. Not even close. So if you're on YouTube, by gosh, smash the like button. And if you're on X, aka Twitter, the freedom of speech platform, retweet the live. Like it. Comment. Get the algorithms going on all the platforms. Show some love. And remember, guys, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm for damn sure not a professional. This is cryptocurrency. You must do your own research. And don't ever allow a social media influencer on any social media platform out there to influence you when it comes to cryptocurrency, because you could lose it all. You could lose it all. Now, with that being said, now that we got that out of the way, all the disclaimers, the topic of the day: can Pulsechain move without Ethereum going up? Can that happen? Can we see Pulsechain hitting new all-time highs if Ethereum doesn't hit all-time highs? Can we see Pulsechain going up if Ethereum doesn't go up? That's today's topic. Media player, welcome. Shout out to the members. Members only. Links in the description if you want to get extra content weekly at the price of a coffee, $2.99 a month on YouTube. You can join me for some extra content. Jay Easy in the house. TG, my financial advisor. What's up? This guy. No, never. Not your financial advisor. Never, ever. So let's get into the topic. Let's take a look at things first. Across the board, Bitcoin, $96,128. Everyone's really excited about 100K. That's the mark you see on social media. We're going to 100K. That's the belief system. That's the sentiment across the board. We're off to 100K, then we're going to 120K, 150K, 200K, 250,000. I'm seeing a lot of $250,000 predictions. Hex May, good morning, playa at R2R. Good morning, playa. Welcome. I'm seeing a lot of that. I'm seeing a lot of $4,000, $5,000, $7,000, $10,000 Ethereum. I'm even seeing $20,000 Ethereum. People believe we are on the verge of this parabolic, long bull market that's going to last like a super cycle, like a months to a year, longer. All right. That's the sentiment across crypto Twitter. That's the sentiment across, most of the telegrams I see out there. Let's go take a look at liquidations right now. Like in real time, let's set it to the 24-hour mark. So the longs right now, a total of liquidations in 24 hours is 158 million. 84.63% of that is longs have been liquidated. That's 133.76 million between all the exchanges. Only 24.3 among shorts. But you can see it real time. The casino across the board. It shows you what chain, all that. The liquidations are happening in real time. The tickers, the symbols, all of that. It's interesting just to sit here and watch it sometimes because you'll be like, wait, what? And you can switch the values, like the $1 million values. So you can see like the massive amounts of liquidations that are happening. Go to 100K, your 10K value. You get to see it all. In real time, right? And liquidations is part of the game. I think the liquidations of north and south, both sides of the fence, longs and shorts, is exactly what we never wanted to happen to begin with. What Richard Hart really preached: not your keys, not your crypto, right? Well, let's talk about Ethereum. $1,820 Ethereum. It said that good old Pulsechain is the leverage on Ethereum, meaning if Ethereum went to new all-time highs, we would share a lot of the momentum and gains and see our all-time highs, plus multiple X's on top of that, because it would be like an X multiplier of the Ethereum blockchain, right? And you guys hear me talk about it all the time, like as far as like I don't believe that the Pulsechain tech is the best that's out there right now in existence. It's not. There's other better technology that we're experiencing in DeFi with Sonic and a few others. As far as the leverage play, like where does that come from? Where does that leverage play come from? Well, we did fork, right? Ethereum. But the leverage, the thought of leverage and the current sentiment comes from the sacrifice money. And I'm sure you look at this, and Richard Hart probably wishes he kept the $645,592 in DAI, Ethereum DAI, right? I don't think he imagined that he was going to go in and practically almost buy the Ethereum top. But the reason why this becomes like the ultimate leverage on the ecosystem is because of the amount of new users that are coming. How could Pulsechain go up with Ethereum? In what scenario? Outside of the narrative now is breaking down and dwindling down in value as far as the SAC funds being used as an injection when it's down 51%, right? How do we separate ourselves from Ethereum at any point in time? And it's funny how markets work because you look at the bigger picture, everything has a parity to Bitcoin. That between Ethereum and Bitcoin, its biggest bonding liquidity and pairing would be with Bitcoin. The entire industry is working Hart's Law. The Pulsechain people out there is what we know as Hart's Law applies to Bitcoin, right? And you're not going to see Bitcoin go to $40,000 and then Ethereum hit all-time highs. Okay. You're going to see Bitcoin do well. Go, if it makes a parabolic move, pull back a little bit, release the dominance percentile a little bit, will decrease. Ethereum will start to outperform. Altcoin season starts, and we're off to the races. So there's never like a scenario where we see Bitcoin go down in price drastically, like a 50% hit, and then Ethereum go, well, I'm going to go the opposite direction, right? Maybe the only way you see it really, really outperform it, and what we've seen in the past, is during the time where the market caps were smaller, much smaller, and Ethereum was up and coming for its tech, basically the tech foundation that it laid out for DeFi, smart contracts, and what you can do with the Ethereum blockchain. And then soon after, the layer ones, the layer twos, all those different things that evolved thanks to Ethereum. It really became the biggest technology to hit crypto to make us to where we're at today. It advanced the entire ecosystem, the entire industry. We owe it that. But at those times when the market caps were smaller and the markets were rising, Ethereum was by far outperforming Bitcoin. As the market caps get bigger, new technology, new tickers pop up, different layers built on top of Ethereum, right? You got the layer 2s, you got a lot of things that utilize this technology that what people would call diluted it, right? So you have that going. In the case where all that sentiment that we're going to new all-time highs doesn't happen and we go bearish, and we get a 50% haircut on ETH, which to me, I believe ETH will go between $500 to $700. If that happens, let's say we get $700 ETH, I've already been projecting and talking to people about the lows for Pulsechain is about another 50% haircut from here as well. That'll be the bottom, okay? I think Pulse will be 4 zeros and a 1 to 4 zeros and a 1.5. I think Pulse X will revisit all-time lows, right? When it was like 5 zeros and a 9, revisit that. Ink and Hex will go down because of that, and Hart's Law with Pulse. During that time when I believe we hit this again, seeing that I'm still bearish, I think that'll happen with ETH. Now, that's just my scenario, right? Everyone talks about the positive scenario. ETH goes up, Pulse goes up. But if it doesn't, right? Or ETH goes down, Pulse goes down, and in the next cycle, ETH does a 4x from the bottom of, let's say, 500, and it hits $2,000 in the next cycle, at least from Pulsechain, us being a leverage and us hitting those bottoms during that time can experience multiple X's on the way up, right? On top of it. The only way we're going to outpace the performance of Ethereum, though, like the performance of ETH versus Bitcoin, and why that happened, is during those times, Ethereum was onboarding users, people into crypto. It was gaining mass adoption. So when it started to perform better during the bull market cycles, obviously it was due to lower market cap, but also the amount of users that were starting to experience DeFi, buy ERC20 tokens, meme tokens, all that stuff. The key factor is it was onboarding users. Okay, it was adopting people onto the blockchain to utilize it. Bitcoin maxis were becoming Ethereum maxis. People outside of in the real world were now buying Bitcoin and ETH. So that's good that we saw that, right? But this time around, ETH has lost market share and new users have been being onboarded into crypto via Solana. So there's a lot more competition in this cycle than we're in now. By far. So how could Pulsechain perform well if Ethereum goes down? There's an easy solution and answer to that. It's just, is there the ability for the chain to succeed on this level? And to me, we have to identify what the reason why Ethereum started to outperform Bitcoin, not only due to the fact that it had a smaller market cap, but due to the massive users being onboarded. And that would have to be the same case scenario for the forked version of Ethereum. In whatever cycle we're in, bull or bear, for maximum appreciation, we technically would need to have, and we should be able to, if Pulsechain is everything it was invented to be, right? We should be able, because I feel like Ethereum is pretty much maxed out its new users. We should be able to, you think in theory, onboard a ton of new people, but we've been pretty stagnant. We haven't been. Pulsechain is quite a bit of mess right now with people that are dividing. There's a lot of fighting. Nobody accepted any alternative coins, altcoins, basically for the first 2 years. Pump Tires opened the gates on why people are even open to all these tokens, which should have been day one what we were doing. But everybody shit on every narrative that came out. PDI, PTGC, all that, they missed gains. You guys know the story. So we're at this position here where we need to step on the gas, and Pulsechain needs to bring on new users to break away from the total leverage of losing additional performing X's on top of the X's when ETH does go up, or being able to still produce X's if ETH goes down. Okay, because ETH is heavily leveraged to Bitcoin. We're heavily leveraged to Ethereum. We go into a bear market, 50% haircuts happen to Bitcoin. We go to 54,000, 45,000, whatever it may be from the top. If the top happened, right, at 109, you know, we're going to be affected because of the price of Ethereum. But when we go down and we recover, we go up higher if we gain mass adoption and we build on the ground floor up. Okay? So my thought is, we're going to have a hard push coming up here in the really toughest times of markets. All right. So people need to draw away from this scenario here. This needs to not even be, this may be my last time pulling it up on camera. We need to walk away from this. Okay. We need to find out how to bootstrap new communities from other DeFi out there and bring it here. We need to figure out how to bootstrap other chains and bring it here. Whether that's adopting like a project or a cryptocurrency from another thriving chain and embracing it on Pulsechain. There has to be things that happen at the bottom. So this is where we have to work the hardest for our greatest chance. Because if I'm right, and due to technology being technology, and Solana, we know Solana's better tech than Ethereum. There is no denying it. It's better tech. Doesn't have the biggest market cap. It's newer tech. Newer in the sense of age and how long they've been around. You're going to have to continuously compete with tech that starts to come out that's better than Solana, competes with Solana. The more and more market share that gets taken from Ethereum, the more competition, the more spread out the money is, the less amount of interest and impact on the next cycles to come. So we're not like guaranteed that Ethereum will ever hit its previous all-time high again. It could go to 500, and the next move from the bottom could be a 4x to 2,000, a 5x to 2,500. But as we move down to our bottoms, that's at least a leverage on the way up that we can multiply it against and off of, really piggyback on Ethereum. But at the same time, if we're adding new users and more adoption and more protocols consistently and building the community, we can go further down the road. So it's not necessarily like, if you really believe in Pulsechain, like, oh my God, the price is down, like this sucks, it's been 2 years. Like, it's still an infant stage, it's still a baby. We just still got to put in the work. And Richard Hart has actually put us in a very weird position where he has put all the weight on the shoulders and backs of all of the people and investors that got involved. So you got to imagine that you go to Sonic Chain, they got an incentive for Aave to come over, for all these major protocols to earn, airdrops, incentivize builders. We don't have that on Pulse. We don't have any of that. So everything is working against us. No centralized exchanges. That we don't have a slick, fast onboarding system as far as bridging. We don't have big influencers. We have a lot of in-house fighting, a lot of nonsense, a lot of noise, a sacrifice wallet. We just beat the SEC, by gosh, and it just completely eliminated the greatness of what actually happened in court being defeated, right? The SEC lost in court to Richard Hart, became a nothing burger only due to the fact that nobody out there cares because it's been gatekept. So I'm just in that spot now where I'm going, hey, man, you just got to keep pushing, got to keep trucking, right? Ultimately, we are a leverage on ETH, but we just need to make sure that we're building, because if we're here at the bottoms, right? We're here at the bottom soon when this goes down, if it goes down, because remember, everybody in crypto right now is saying we're going to new all-time highs across the board. So they believe that, let's just call Ethereum 2000, that it's going to 5x its market cap size of $219 billion. And it's going to become a 1 trillion plus market cap this cycle with Ethereum. And in order for it to do that, right, there would have to be a 5x amount of market cap value of injected money to come in directly to ETH, right? 5x is 5x the market cap value. And you're saying that all that money, basically $1 trillion, would come in and wouldn't spread out to anything like XRP, BNB, Solana, Cardano, Tron. It completely skip and ignore everything else that dilutes everything from the top to the bottom and go straight into here at a 5x. Well, we know a lot of the industry money is going to go into Bitcoin because it's the most trusted asset and it's the first of its kind. Ethereum is the first of its kind with regards to blockchain smart contract technology, but there's competitors. So the competition has its market share. So there's going to need to be 5 times the amount of money in market cap of 220 billion. So about, $800 billion plus that's ready to just go into ETH to send it to 10,000. That's not adding the sell pressure that comes from people that would be in profit who are buying these lows and have been buying everything underneath the 5x value at a $10,000 per share. Even at 5,000, 7,000, right? A 2x from here would be 4,000. Would be just straight capital coming in into the industry, but you got to share it with Bitcoin. You got to share it with everything else. So in crypto, you're like, well, 5x is nothing. Yeah, it used to be nothing. But when you get highly ranked in the market caps, it's a big deal when you 2x because how high the market caps are and how much money is already in. If the further you go down, then it's a nothing burger to say, oh, BitTorrent could go 5x. It's only $686 million market cap. $2 billion market cap, which is nothing in the space, right? What is that? 3x plus 3.5x, right? The lower the market cap, 10x, gets you at $6 billion here for flow. Whatever these tokens are, Pancake, $629 million market cap. A 5x brings it at $3 billion plus for Pancake Swap token. You can see that, right? But versus the where all the money already is and has been with the highest market caps here listed, then you're like, okay, that comes a little bit harder for a 5 to 10x. It wasn't the previous cycle where these numbers were way low and we weren't even at a 1 trillion overall market cap. So Pulsechain being such a low market cap overall, that and the liquidity is low, that helps us a lot. But we still have a lot of money on the sidelines that are down on sacrifice to create sell pressure across the board too. And EHEX with Pulse, even Maria has a lot of EHEX. And do you trust Maria? People are not too certain about that. So we're going to need to build out more builders, more users. And in the worst case scenario where this money here is already 51% in the red, this narrative is not likely to be a massive injection in unless we do hit all-time highs and we double up to 7K and this becomes worth over $1 billion of money that Richard can inject. But if it doesn't, and it got another leg down and it becomes only worth $150 million, that's going to scare a lot of people. So are you, as the people on Pulsechain, the people that are already selling, going to have the confidence if and when the bear market comes and ETH takes a massive haircut and Bitcoin? Because that happens. Prepare for the worst, hope for the best. Okay? I tweeted that earlier. So the only way out of this situation that we're in now, because even with these green candles in the overall market, Pulsechain is still down, right? The sentiment on that chain is down because of the massive amount of users we're not onboarding. It has to kickstart somehow. Richard's already launched pump tires. Richard's tweeting more, even if he streams. You know, I don't know what it's going to take. I do know what I would want is for Pulsechain to get continuous upgrades as far as innovation to the actual blockchain to keep up with the innovation that's out there today and soon to come. When X1 comes, Jack Levin's chain, it's going to share market cap with Pulsechain by default because hexagons were first movers as far as minters for Zen and Titan X. A lot of this crowd is that crowd there too. However, the technology that was forked by Jack Levin is better than Ethereum, which is Solana. X1 is an SVM. So by default, the technology is going to be there better on day one. So is Pulsechain upgradable to make certain changes? And will there be a better incentive for doubling up, tripling up, quadrupling up people that want to create validators for the chain to make it a much smoother, more gas-friendly, efficient chain? So that push is very important. And that's all like back-end stuff that no one talks about, right? If you're in Solana, you're not some YouTuber or investor talking about the validators, right? That's like all under the hood stuff that no one cares about. But when you're in Pulsechain, you're a user and you experience it, you go, holy smokes, we need more validators. Brit VR, you read my mind, bro. Yeah, it becomes apparent and it becomes obvious. And you can't ignore it. You can only ignore it. And a lot of people that reject the validator situation are in complete denial. They have every penny that they possibly could have ever imagined in Pulsechain. And they want to set that aside and go a different direction as far as denial. Can't deny it. The chain needs a lot more validators. And until that happens, or massive upgrades, we're going to have a difficult time competing with any new technology. So if the validators become profitable, right, and the incentive there is to run a validator and you are in profit every month and you're not losing money, more people will do it. So that's where we start to look at and go, yeah, you know what? There's got to be some changes. So I think that's where Richard is probably going to focus next. He's got to know he knows he's not stupid. A lot of people are like, hey, he's playing 3D chess with the stable tokens. Like, you know, if Richard would have pegged PDI, it wouldn't be able to, the chain wouldn't be able to handle the new users that would come because of what happened. The bridge would be out of commission for weeks. You wouldn't be able to get your money in and out or transact at a quick, cost-friendly, in a quick, cost-friendly environment, like at all. Okay, it would be really, really difficult for you to be on Pulsechain, interacting as far as trading, buying, whatever it is you want to do, right? It would be difficult. So at this point, before like these grandmaster plans that people are saying, he paid 5D chess, he's got a plan, the liquidity's low, he's got to do something, because when things start to go parabolic at some point, if and when that happens, we're going to need a lot of chain of events that have happened, and that's people running validators and be able to do it at profit, right? Can Richard import X1 IOTA and other tech and run parallel chains under the banner of Pulsechain? That I am not sure. They need to lower the validator costs. Yes, they do. Incentivize people to make the validators, because at this point, it's not happening. ETH Pulse Clone is just a Solidity communications method. Yeah, what I feel like, I don't, I think Pulsechain took longer than he thought. I think the way he timed the market was off and different. A lot of the unexpected, unimaginable events happened, and Richard is just in the process of pivoting to do what he can do best. He cut the ink emissions. We've all pulled liquidity that gives us a chance to go up high, right? With lower liquidity when the time is right. He's setting the stage with that, okay? However, we're during the volatility of a bear market that works on the other side where we'll go even lower because of the low amount of liquidity. But to him, he doesn't care if ink, for example, goes to 10 cents. Because when it recovers, he can brag about it went from 10 cents, right, to $10, and it did 100x, right? And everything's measured from the bottom, and you're a hero for all those people that bought. All the people that bought up here didn't make money and broke even. You just kind of forget about them, but you don't talk about it. That's for every industry in crypto. This is how it is. Real cutthroat like that. So he knows on the opposite side of the fence, even if it crashes down, you get to get better deals. And then he's going to say and look at you and go, if you believed, you bought more and you bought the dip. You made a lot of money. You DCA'd and got a better price. And he wouldn't be wrong for saying that. I'd be like, oh, yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. Shoulda, coulda, woulda, but I didn't, right? So as long as this chain is building and evolving and adding validators, even when ETH, where I believe is going to go to $500 to $700, as long as the blockchain gets necessary upgrades, more validators, more protocols, major protocols though. Like right now, if we go look on DexScreener, we don't have big protocols over here. We don't have Aave, like a big lending protocol and all that. And I know Richard gives the FU middle finger to all of that, but like all we have on Pulsechain right now is some memes, a few narratives, and the core tokens. We don't have a lot of builders, and a lot of the builders that are here, their tokens are not very popular. So all we have is just straight PvP. Imagine if we had incentives for people to come bring their already successful protocols over, kind of like Sonic Chain. I mean, what's the bad in that, right? The only way you're going to get these things that would be very valuable and highly possible, like these are not in the realm of a strong not possibility, but a possibility if Richard pivots, and he has. He hates meme tokens. Oh, he launched Pumps Tires, has his own meme token, so he pivoted. He changed his thought. You just have to throw it out there. The more we go out here and we get our nose out between Richard's butt cheeks, right? And we just demand better tech, more involvement. What does that mean? It doesn't mean live streaming. I don't want Richard to live stream. I want him to tweet, hey, it appears that validators are much more profitable today. Click here. You can do it in 5 minutes, That's a big step forward, and he can remain in the shadows and never live stream, never even get the Interpol notice off of him, right? That would help the entire chain. Oh, guess what, guys? Validators are much more profitable today. We can now, see the congestion lower during times of, high volume. There's a lot of things that could happen that would be really beneficial. So I wish that, collectively, all the influencers were out there, instead of shilling every single token that they want to make money on and extract, whether it's PDI or a certain meme token. And it's okay to talk about those tokens, but introduce the idea for people to be out there and be more outspoken about the validator issue. It's going to help our chain. For when we do go parabolic, we can actually get some money in here pretty quick. We can spend our money quick. Onboard, like this, those are the biggest challenges, right? Let's say You gave a FU to Jake Sharp, and we agree. So we're moving all the Titan X bot coin value to Pulsechain, making liquidity web there. Exactly what you're saying. Hey, that's interesting. I'll have to check it out. We'll pump after Ethereum pumps. We'll pump when meme coins pump. End of the cycle. Or that already happened. Just focus on green candle tech. Read projects designed to pump. Real projects designed to pump. The mint and auction code and staking can stay on Titan X ETH, but the value and liquidity of the limited coins are moving to better leverage of PulseX, Hexatropa, etc. That'd be interesting to see that. And you already have like a big crowd of Hex OGs, right? So technically, you would be moving the money to a chain where a lot of the Hex money migrated already to Pulsechain. So that is smart. It's going to be interesting to watch that. What's up, man? Thanks for clocking in on Saturday. You like Barracoin for Barrachain as a speculative play? I like the farm we're in. If you're not farming right now, wait till the beginning of next week and you'll see. I posted it in R2R. You got this information like almost a week ago. I'm farming in that protocol that we got in Genesis phase. But anyways, yeah, as long as the tech side of things get better and keep up the industry standard, because the industry standard moves pretty quick, should be all right, man. Should be okay. But if Ethereum is going to not outperform Bitcoin, we go into a bear market, it doesn't hit all-time highs, preparing for the worst here is likely going to be beneficial. If we can get the validators fixed, we can incentivize protocols to build here. Yeah, centralized exchanges wanting us is a good thing. Do I care if we're on centralized exchanges? No, but the fact that they want us to be on there is a good thing. Getting proper rankings after how many years for Hex on CoinMarketCap? And I know Richard, I don't do that. These middlemen and F all these people, but that was back when you had Hex. You got an entire blockchain that needs adoption for the people to thrive. I really hope things can change for the better. I really do. Good to be here today. Yeah. I got to run, though. Kids are acting wild. It's a weekend, so, in conclusion, do I think Pulsechain could move without Ethereum? The simple answer is no, because not only is it like a fork of ETH, but this right here. If Richard believes ETH is going to go back up, and it does, he's golden. If it continues to go down and he doesn't sell and take a 51% loss and then buy it at its lowest point, if we do go down to 500, 700 and wait for it to recover to regain these losses, that's one thing. Because I doubt he's going to sell it and buy a different token. He's not going to go buy Solana or Sonic. I don't see that happening. But your expectations are right here, guys. People listed this as the Pulsechain PulseX Treasury Tracker. In a world of no expectations, they think they got a $300 million plus treasury that's in the whole 51%. So there's your leverage. So if ETH goes down and we continue with the situations we have today of not onboarding new users and onboarding new people to create validators, I see it being a very hard scenario for it to go up without Ethereum performing well. So a lot of things have to happen. New users, more builders, more validators, upgrade the tech, sustain the tech, be competitive. A lot of changes. But this is the perfect time to do that. We're at the bottoms, and I think we're gonna go lower from here, but it's a good time to build so that on the way up we succeed. And we can handle the success of new users. That'd be really good. Thoughts on GoPulsac? They're scammers. That's my thought. We don't look at them no more. We don't talk about them. But don't forget to pound the like button, guys. Until next time, we shall do it again. Yeah, dog.
Let's go, let's go, let's go. Crypto talk with Thomas G.
Yeah, dog.
Bringing heat, mining sprees, and we're farming all around, including E.
Yeah, dog.
Bringing heat, mining sprees, and we're farming all around, including got me on Navex and bought me some Joe. Farming go crazy, you know how it goes. Zuby on Phantom, I got a few notes. Sticking my Rex, you know I'm gon' hold. Getting these calls from the dog pound. Buy my dot for the next round. Now I'm coming up off the compound. Got my drip off the rebound. Getting these calls from the dog pound. Buy my dot for the next round. Now I'm coming up off the compound. Got my drip off the rebound. Crypto talk with Thomas G.
Yeah, dog.
Bringing heat, mining sprees, and we're farming all around, including E.
Yeah, dog.
Bringing heat, mining sprees, and we're farming all around, including E.
Yeah, dog.
Bringing heat, mining sprees, and we're farming all around, including